From the SiliconANGLE Media office in Boston, Massachusetts, it's theCUBE. Now, here are your hosts, Dave Vellante and Stu Miniman.
Hi everybody, welcome to SiliconANGLE's theCUBE. This is an in-studio presentation that Stu and I are going to preview HPE Discover London 2016. We've done a number of HPE Discovers. London's the big European show. It goes on the end of November to early December. theCUBE will, of course, be there. I'll be there with my co-host Paul Gillen. HPE, Stu, has been sort of a really interesting ride over the last 5 years under the direction of Meg Whitman. She had to clean up the autonomy mess. That looks like we're now finally almost through that. We'll talk about that a little bit, but when you go back to the challenges that she faced, last year at HPE Discover London, it was all about the split, taking this huge company and splitting it into two Fortune 50 companies. Last June at HPE Discover, there was a lot of discussion around the spin merge with CSC, essentially jettisoning the legacy EDS business. Which was a drag on HPE's business. It was not a focused part of their strategy. Now this year you're going to hear, I'm sure, about the Micro Focus sale of the software business. I don't think it's going to be a major theme, but it's true. It's an underpinning of what HPE's doing in the strategy, and HPE's going to talk about what's left. And what's left is a very focused infrastructure company that is essentially an arms dealer to on-prem and the cloud. I mean, that's really what HPE is all about. I mean, you've got infrastructure, which is storage, compute, and networking. You've got what used to be a cloud business that's now folded into converged infrastructure and software defined. You've got IoT, which is a big thrust of theirs, focusing on the edge, and of course services to wrap that all together. And that's HP, and it's a clean story. They don't have nearly the supply chain that it used to have. They don't have the end-to-end strategy story, but they don't have a lot of baggage either. They're basically selling core parts of the software business, Vertica, autonomy, big chunks of the security business, to Micro Focus, and then, as I say, what's left is an arms dealer that's going to knock heads with Dell, with Lenovo, and obviously with Amazon. Your thoughts on HPE?
Yeah, Dave, those spin merges are a little bit interesting for us to kind of wrap our heads around as to how are they, they're getting rid of a piece but still having, ties to it and making sure there's, I'm sure, some strategic alignment as to what's going on there. And it's interesting to always see, when you look at infrastructure, how much software do I still need to have? We know how critically important software is, and there's software in a lot of this infrastructure. How much of it is kind of really still core? How much of it is non-core? Cleaning up that autonomy piece, I think a lot of people think is a good move, but you lose pieces like Vertica, outside of that business, which had some ties for like backup and certain areas on the infrastructure. So that new HPE, as you said, the balance sheet's cleaned up. They're a smaller company, and it's something that we definitely think had to happen over time as they need to compete against the like of not only the infrastructure companies, but that overhanging presence of the public cloud. With HPE Discover, of course, going up head to head against Amazon reInvent, it'll be an interesting compare.
Well, so you're right. The reason for these spin mergers is to clean up the balance sheet. The thing about what they've done with these spin merges is it opens up partnership opportunities for them. So now HPE can partner with, perfect example, it's a small one, but it's, the Protector, it's HP Protect software, the backup software. So now they can go out and do a partnership, for example, with Veeam, who's a leader in that space, who's got tons of momentum in the VMware community, and they can partner with that instead of having to, sell their own stuff. And that's a good example. Working with Accenture and Ernst & Young and Deloitte and KPMG and the big SIs, they have to worry about the EDS competition anymore. I think that's a big deal for HP. And you're going to see more stuff around Docker and things of that nature. So the rumor last summer was that HP was going to sell its software business to private equity. Actually, Micro Focus is not private. And then they were going to do a big move and buy Nutanix. Okay, well, Nutanix did an IPO and it's pretty rich. So there was a rumor that came out in the register that they were going to buy SimpliVity for like $4 billion, which is valued more than Nutanix. So that didn't really make any sense. You had some information on that, but what was your take on that? That's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, first of all, and Dave, just your comment about being able to partner more, I think that's really good for HP, or HPE as it is, because the concern I had, I even think back to when they bought EDS. EDS worked with a lot of companies out there, and over the years went on, you saw EDS basically were, sold services and put solutions together baked with HP gear. And it's really tough these days to think that you're going to be able to vertically integrate and do it all yourself. Today, it's a very robust ecosystem. Docker, you mentioned, was one that HP is trying to take leadership and bundle again with a lot of their solutions. So when you buy servers, that you're going to be ready for that next wave of containerization. And the cash flow available now is that they can make acquisitions if they need to. Definitely hyperconverged is an area where we're seeing big growth, not only with Nutanix, but VMware, who is an HP partner, but also competitive when you add in the likes of the Dell EMC, the old VCE group doing VxRail. And HPE, they have composable infrastructure with their Synergy product line. They also have the old, what was the left-hand VSA that's in there, so they have a number of solutions. They are still the #1 server manufacturer from a revenue standpoint. So, hyperconverged is definitely a wave that they don't want to miss. And right, as you said, Nutanix is too expensive. SimpliVity, we don't think it's billions of dollars. The Register reported that their 2015 revenue for SimpliVity was $95 million. Now some of that is software that gets bundled into solutions, so the total market that they hit is a little bit bigger, but it does not, from our standpoint, make sense to spend billions of dollars to buy SimpliVity. There's also a number of smaller players out there that could help HPE get deeper into that marketplace. But with their server presence and the various offerings that they have, it should be something that HPE can be a strong player for.
Well, the question I have about HPE is does it need to acquire? Oh, first of all, actually make a comment. HP gets dinged a lot for making poor acquisitions. I think Vertica was a good one. They just didn't know what to do with it. Obviously, Autonomy was a disaster.
3PAR was a great acquisition.
3PAR is a great acquisition, although it was kind of a no-brainer. They needed to fill that space. Aruba looks like to be a really winning acquisition, particularly with the IoT strategy. So, HP it can be sensible. They can do acquisitions. So they just got to do the right ones. And I think that they've got some better management now in focusing on those things. The question I have about their hyperconverged, do they need to acquire somebody, or can they do this organically? When you think about converged infrastructure, when Donatelli was running it, you heard a lot about how we invented converged infrastructure. They probably were first with the term, they popularized the term, but they couldn't get from R&D to product fast enough. And others like VCE surpassed them. And they sort of cobbled together some solutions, but you never really felt like they were there in the mix. And so do they now, with elements of the machine and Synergy sort of coming out, memory-based computing, can they do this on their own, or do they need to fill gaps?
Yeah, so Dave, I saw Synergy before it got released, and if you looked architecturally, it had a lot of the look and feel of what we would expect to see from HCI, but I felt it was a little bit over-architectured, and the price point it was hitting was a much larger piece, and we kind of
more expensive.
It was more expensive, and because the things we poked at is things like a vSAN from VMware or Nutanix is, I could start really small, and I can build kind of incrementally. That's what customers are looking for. Really kind of the way I buy public cloud is I can buy in small increments, use what I need, expand as needed, and it was like, well, why'd you start here? Why can't you do this? Oh, well, we have this other product line that kind of fits that piece of it. And as we all know, taking a big product and pushing it down market's really hard. It's much easier to take something small and expand it and grow it. So, HP has the talent inside to be able to build a lot of these. It's not just the hardware pieces, but the software engineering. It's a computer science distributed architecture problem. And you look at what HPE was doing with Moonshot and the machine, and they understand a lot of these problems. But what I scratch my head is IBM and HPE, the two that you would think really have kind of the research chops and the knowledge to be able to do this, to date are being outmaneuvered by some of the other guys to be able to put these solutions.
So maybe the new focus of HPE can streamline some of the R&D and focus the R&D as well, because I felt like, they've reorganized HPE labs. So and I believe now it's under Antonio, and so which to me is a good thing because you want to get R&D out to product, and HPE Labs has not been able to do that historically. I've said HPE's got to get back to its roots of invent. I think being more focused should help. So that's something that we've got to look for, obviously. And you would think that they would pour money into software defined and hyper-converged infrastructure. I mean, those are really two growth areas for HPE.
Well, and a big opportunity for HPE coming in 2017 is they're one of the first partners for Azure Stack. So Microsoft, right, of course, huge HPE partnership, long track record there, and they're going to push that. However, I look at Azure, and from what I hear, Microsoft is going to spend more time focusing on, adoption of Azure than they are for some of these early Azure Stack deployments.
Okay, and then IoT is the other big one. HPE's pushing IoT at the edge. They're redeploying Moonshot, and other server architectures at the edge. So I'm actually pretty excited about what they're doing there, in particular because of the Aruba acquisition. Now you can, you want to instrument the windmill, but you better have connectivity to the windmill, and wireless is a great opportunity to do that. I want to hear more use cases beyond, Levi Stadium. So I'm looking for that, right? I mean, HPE tends to roll out Katzenberg and Levi Stadium a lot. I want to see more, and I think there is more. They just got to knock down some of those references, but the Aruba acquisition looks to be a winner and very synergistic to IoT, and they put Dominic Orr in charge of that IoT business. So that's, I have a lot of hope for that business. Security is the other one that I have a big question mark on. I got to believe that HPE is going to retool some of its security business. It basically decided, look, we've got this mishmash of software components. We can't compete. We can't make it work. Let's get rid of it. Give it to Micro Focus, which seems to be thriving on a bunch of misfit toys and making that work great. Let's get rid of that. We'll maintain some ownership in that. We'll partnership as we need to, and let's refocus on the software that's core to our business. So that's management software. Infrastructure management software, but I got to believe that there's some security opportunities out there. There are a number of small startups that solve really important problems that I would think that HP over time is going to start tucking in some of those security companies, because I think security is pretty fundamental to infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. There's a whole wave of new companies coming out doing that, both from kind of the networking side, what's happening in the cloud side, that kind of micro-segmentation space. It could be a nice fit for HPE to, as you said, do a do-over.
Yeah, and HPE always been very partner-friendly. So to me, it's this collision course between HPE and Dell EMC. Dell's got the volume, they've got the supply chain, they got every single product known to man, and they got VMware. So Dell EMC, they're gonna compete with vSAN and VX with that piece. They've got the relationship with Nutanix, which is interesting. We'll see where that all shakes up. Right now, it seems to be going pretty well. And they've got, as I say, their portfolio is one of everything. So massive, massive company with not a lot of gaps in the portfolio, much more overlap than gaps, and sometimes kind of complicated. We heard at Dell EMC World the channel's a little nervous right now. Rightly so, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. Dell EMC executives said, don't worry about it. It's good, kind of got that Donald Trump, it's going to be great. We'll see. We're lacking details there, but I have to say that I know certainly from EMC's standpoint, EMC has done a good job in the channel over the past 5 years, a very good job. Dell I don't know as much about. I think I've heard anecdotally that people are more concerned about Dell as a channel partner, but they're smart, they'll figure it out. I think that's an opportunity for HP from a partnering standpoint, because they've always been partner friendly. They don't have the supply chain that they used to have. So it's HPE, the Dell, EMC, and obviously Amazon. So how does HPE compete? What do you see as the prognosis for HPE, particularly as it relates to the channel?
So, I mean, just first on the cloud piece, Dave, I mean, we saw, HPE go through a number of machinations. They bought Eucalyptus. Martin Mikos was, going to be exciting, and then Martin's out. And, there's a new person in charge, and oh, wait, we're changing the cloud strategy. So cloud, a lot of it is partnering today. Partnering means opportunity for the channel. The channel is looking for ways to make money. Things like HCI, all-flash arrays are opportunities to make money. HPE's had a pretty good track record, with with the channel. We've been at some of their partner summits. As a server company, HPE has done really well and made compute pieces that are compelling for the channel to be able to make money. So as long as they can keep that going and extend off of it, they're still a very strong brand out there and one that should be reckoned with in the industry.
Yeah, and I think, again, it sounds like bromide, but it's HPE talking about choice. They are a company that's offering choice. I mean, if you want, to do business with Microsoft, they're obviously a great partner. They've got options now for other cloud suppliers, obviously, Amazon, Azure, et cetera. So it's all about choice. It's all about having a strategy that will allow you to have an exit strategy if in fact you need one, which a lot of people need right now because they're trying to put together cloud strategies and IoT strategies, and there's a lot of big data strategies. There's a lot of uncertainty out there, so you want to have an exit strategy if in fact you need one, and HPE gives you options and gives you choice and gives you flexibility, yet at the same time they're big enough that they can cover you. I see the services piece, Stu, as now critical. So services is really focused. They don't have all this other extraneous stuff. They're focused on infrastructure, they're focused on software defined, and they're focused on IoT. Those are good areas extending the total available market from the data center out. So I'm encouraged, but I want to hear more, particularly around how they're going to fill the gaps in hyperconverged. I want to hear what they're doing, specifically in software defined. I mean, obviously a big growth area, and I want to see more use cases and examples and customer references in IoT. It's a big show in Europe. It's actually probably even a little bit bigger in Europe than it is in the US. It's 9, 10, 11,000 people, high quality audience. It'll be in London again this year, so we'll be there with theCUBE. I'll give you final thoughts, Stu.
Yeah, and being over in Europe, Dave, what is the impact of cloud that's going on there? So, good mix of customers, and IoT, it's still early, so how is the European customer set ready for that? And what's the general sentiment around HPE? Is those of us kind of the industry watchers tend to inflate how much some of this matters to the customers. If customers they vote with their wallets, they're still buying lots of HP gear and satisfied with the direction they're going with. It'd be good to see.
Okay, so we'll be broadcasting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from London. Obviously, our European audience, you'll catch us during the prime broadcast days. Go to siliconangle.tv. You'll see where we're broadcasting. You just click on HPE Discover London. You can click on. We'll also be at reInvent. You'll see both of those shows. But for our U.S. audiences, get up early. Check out what's going on in London. We'll be ending the day on the West Coast in Las Vegas with reInvent. Stu, thanks a lot. It's good to see you. Good luck in Vegas. As I say, we'll be in London. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out wikibon.com. Ton of edge and IoT research coming out. We got our predictions up there as well on the site. Check out siliconangle.tv for all the CUBE action, and siliconangle.com for all the news. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.